inside episode 10 of the Ken Sparks Show as Carson-Newman comes out with a 35-17 victory on Senior Day over the Mars Hill Lions. The Eagles secure a first-round bye in the NCAA Division II playoffs by virtue of that 35-17 victory, leapfrogging the previous number 2 seed Miles. Before we get to the interviews with Carson-Newman offensive and defensive coordinators Mike Turner and Mike Clowney, we take a look at the highlights from the Eagles' 35-17 victory over the Mars Hill Lions.
But the Eagles 5 yards away from Pater. Haywood under center in the veer. Gives off right side. Trap Douglas. Douglas fighting his way forward. The stretch of the right arm. Got it. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Tyron Douglas stretched his right arm. Went go-go gadget with it to get into the end zone over Rudy Cabral, and the Eagles take a 6-0 lead with 20.6 seconds left in the first quarter. And Richmond on to punt from back at his own 9. Brown to receive from his 40. The Eagles come free. It's blocked by East Brown. Ball rattling around and it's fallen on by a Mars Hill lineman at the 11. But Jared East Brown shot in from the right side and blocked B.J. Richmond's punt, and the Eagles take over with 1st and 10 from the Mars Hill 11.
You get those guys back that have playing experience, that get on special teams, and you see what happens. He's making a difference on 2 straight special teams plays.
East Brown with his second blocked kick of the season in the second. Eagle crowd gets back in it with Haywood under center in the veer. Baker on the right, Douglas on the left. Hibbett dinged up a couple plays ago. Haywood takes the snap, gives off, left side for Douglas. Douglas darts into the end zone. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Give Tyron the hat trick, and the Eagles take the lead 20-14 with 5:38 left in the second quarter. Douglas does it from 11 yards out. Rick comes out in an I formation. Hughes the fullback, Davis the tailback. 2 wide to the wide side right. Jennings and Holmes. Rick takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Davis. He'll throw a deep ball over the middle of the field, almost intercepted by Sean Rawson. Incomplete up at the 45. Rawson had a beat on it from his safety spot, but couldn't pick it off.
This time he guessed wrong, and Baker was down the field.
1st and 10 Eagles from the Mars Hill 19. Haywood under center in the veer. On the left, Hibbett. Baker on the right. 2 wide to the short side right. Haywood over the left side of the line. He'll keep it. Haywood dashing down the far hash. He'll scoot in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Brandon Haywood shrugged off a tackler at the 10 and gets into the end zone. The Mossy Creek Maniacs respond in kind. 3rd and 15 for the Lions from their own 21. Rick in the gun. Davis to his right. 1 wide up top, 2 to the near side. Rick takes a 3-step drop, throws over the middle of the field. It's intercepted by Kinley at the 40. Kinley stepping along the near side hash mark. He's across the 30, inside the 25, and knocked down at the 22 by Denzel Good. Isaac Kinley seizes an interception at the 40. He made the game-winning pick back in 2010. Right. The Eagles with Hibbett and Baker, the 2 tailbacks. Eubanks the short side left on this 1st and 10 from the Eagles 42. The line drops down. Haywood takes the snap. Hands up the gut to Brandon Baker. Baker with loads of green in front of him. Baker along the near hash mark. He stretches for the goal line. Doesn't get there. Dropped at the 1 by Green. But still, Brandon Baker, 57 yards.
57 yards. He needed one, and he wanted it. He was stretching for that end zone.
10:45 left in the fourth, and the Eagles on top by 11. Haywood under center in the veer on 3rd and 6 from the Mars Hill 33. Haywood on the left, Baker on the right. Haywood just keeps it right up the middle. Haywood shakes free of a tackle at the 15. Haywood all the way to the goal line. He leaps in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Brandon Haywood snuck it right up the gut. And the Eagles take a 34-17 lead over Mars Hill. Haywood from 33 yards out finds Pater. 3rd and 8 from the Carson-Newman 36 for Mars Hill. Rick in the gun, Davis to his right. 3 wide up top, 1 to the near side. Rick takes the snap, shoulder height. Rick blitzed by Fleming, and Fleming knocks him down. Zach Fleming with the stop back in Mars Hill territory. Waylays Rick back at the 45. Knuckle puck time again here at Berktar Stadium. Stadium as Fleming drops him for a loss of 9. Bash brother number 2 having a sensational senior day.
What a great play on third down. Fourth and forever. Zach Fleming comes up with a huge play on third down and puts Mars Hill just in a tough spot.
The Eagles pick up the victory 35-17 over the Mars Hill Lions. When we return on the Ken Sparks Show, we break things down with the coordinators. Mike Clowney talks about the defense when we return after this on the Ken Sparks Show. Back on the Ken Sparks Show as Carson-Newman picks up a 35-17 victory over the Mars Hill Lions. I'm Adam Cavalier, now joined by a pinch hitter today, defensive coordinator Mike Clowney, filling in for Coach Sparks. Mike, congratulations on a big senior day victory and securing yourself a spot in the NCAA playoffs.
Thank you. It was an exciting time for us and our kids.
You think about what you did to Mars Hill, one of the top 3 offenses in the league. They show up in the second quarter with 201 yards. In the second stanza, put up 17 points. But in the second half, you shut them down. What were the adjustments that you made? How did you accomplish that, allowing no points in the second half?
I think one of the big things for us right now is our kids have been really excited the last couple of weeks about coming out and playing the competition we've had. And consequently, we've actually blown some assignments early, because of the emotion. The big thing has been, getting them in, getting them settled down, giving them, the little subtle reminders and coming back and being able to, focus on doing the fundamental things right.
How have you seen them grow that way as the defensive coach over the season?
I think the big thing for us, you kind of go into the season, you got a relatively new group. I think we've played, games you can play each week, and I think they've learned to learn each other a little bit more each week to where, they're developing those relationships within the group. They're starting to understand one another, starting to understand how one another function. And so I think, that's been probably the biggest thing as far as them starting to kind of gel together and have relationships and, start playing more for one another than themselves.
You go back to last week against Tusculum in the second half. You only allow 7 points and right around 100 total yards to the Bo Cordell show. This week, you shut down the John Richt experience to 118 total yards and no points. What's happened in the second half, especially the past 2 weeks, that's enabled you to be such a lockdown defense?
Really been 2 different situations. I think last week with Tusculum, we had to go in and we had to make some personnel changes to kind of get, a more athletic group on the field. And this week it's just kind of been more tuning up what we're doing, calling a little bit less defense and getting them in more stuff to where they can just settle in and play.
You hold Mars Hill 3 of 14 on third downs. What on earth were you doing to get the Lions off the field so frequently?
I think our kids did a good job of just kind of mixing up what we were doing, just showing one thing and playing another. Another thing we did, we wanted to try to get some pressure, knowing he hadn't been sacked much, but still kind of try to get guys in his face to where he had to kind of at least deal with it a little bit.
And pressure was brought. Only 4 sacks coming into the game, and Zach Fleming somehow comes up from behind in the second half. Yet again, your leading sacker on the season is your reserve defensive end out of Dobbins Bennett. What's Fleming done to be not only a successful player but a successful senior leader for the Eagles?
You can. Sometimes you have to keep those guys on the bench to keep them hungry. But no, Zach did a great job. We were able to get him a wide technique on the tackle, and he got a great get off, which he was able to beat the guy kind of off the line of scrimmage. And he's a senior, so he did the rest of the little things right and kind of got in a situation to get a sack for him.
That was really Mars Hill's last opportunity to make that comeback push. That killed the drive, put them in a 4th and forever situation.
Yeah. And I think the other part of that too was guys did a great job of covering downfield. He had to hold on to a ball for a second for us to get there. So, and it was a big play. I think, it's one of those moments where the kids know it's a big play, and I think they competed and did what we had to do to get off the field.
You bring up covering downfield. As many breakups in a game as you've had all season, and Anthony Hooks knocks down 4 passes himself. What was the secondary doing? Covering 2 pretty talented receivers in Dimitri Holmes and Deontay Jennings.
They've got an extremely talented group, and I think, our secondary guys knew that going in. They prepared all week and focused because they knew that this would be a big challenge for us, and I think they just came in mentally ready to go. I think just the same deal, kind of seeing their keys, they did a good job of breaking on balls, seeing it 3-step and breaking on it and just getting in position. Some of them should have been picks. It's the biggest thing that we got to take, we got to do a better job of taking advantage of our opportunities at points, but, still a good job.
Yeah, there was nearly a pick six. Somebody, I don't remember who it was, somebody nearly jumped around.
Oliver Davis jumped out route and he knew it. It was fun time on the sideline dealing with that.
How has the secondary developed throughout the year? You gave up a 300-yard passing game, but when you hold a quarterback to 19 of 42 through the air, that's something to smile about.
I think the players are important. I think it starts with the coach. I think Coach Hutzel's done a great job of communicating. Those guys are in watching video all the time, picking up tendencies, looking at themselves, and just working to continue to develop themselves. And he's done a good job of selling them on getting better.
What's been your favorite part in seeing the progression, not only on the field, but off the field for your defense?
I think just when you see the relationships, I think is probably the biggest thing. Those guys come in, they don't know each other. And now, it's senior day and you get seniors talking and you look at them and, those young guys are playing for those seniors now. It's like, this isn't about me. I'm going to go and I'm going to give everything I got and I'm going to see what happens. You
have John Seitz leading the way with 10 tacklers. How has he developed throughout the year?
John's done a good job for us. We've moved him. He's played all 3 positions every time. We've had guys hurt all year, so John's the guy that gets plugged in. And sometimes I'm not sure how fair we are to him just for the fact that he's always got to do something different. But effort from John has always been good, and we can count on him to give us everything he's got every single play of football game.
You get a big blocked kick from Jared East Brown in his first game back from injury. What happened on the pump block, him shooting through to it really sees momentum for the Eagles with another Douglas touchdown run?
And I think I'm proud of Jared. He's been a starter for us and played a whole lot and got hurt, and he's battling his way back and he's just found a way to contribute. He didn't play every down on defense. I don't think he played defense at all, but when he got a chance to get in and contribute, he did that. Mike,
you're in the playoffs. What does this mean after a 2-year hiatus from postseason play?
I think it's a great confidence booster for us, and our kids have been fighting to try to get to this point for a long time. We sell guys coming to our program that you're going to have a chance to win a championship, and that's what the playoff does for you. Now you're in that situation, you're in the chair, and you control your own destiny. It's a new season. It doesn't matter what happened before. So we get a chance to go out and play and fight and do the things that these guys come to Carson-Newman to do.
Mike, a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, thank you.
Carson-Newman defensive coordinator Mike Clowney. We check in with the offensive head man, Mike Turner. Head your way after this on the Ken Sparks Show. We've renamed it the Mike Turner Show for the Ken Sparks Show. Back on the Ken Sparks Show, I'm Adam Cavalier alongside Carson-Newman offensive coordinator Mike Turner. Mike, thanks so much for taking some time out filling in for the head man after an Eagle victory, 35-17 over Mars Hill.
We need to bleep out the Mike Turner Show, trust me. I've got to keep working at him.
Well, I'm going to throw it in there just because for the first time in Carson-Newman history, the Eagle offense has back-to-back games with multiple 150-yard rushers. You do it against Tusculum, you do it against Mars Hill with Brandon Baker and Brandon Haywood. What on earth were your quarterback and one of your running backs doing to be so successful against the Lions defense?
Well, I think those kids are really grasping how important it is, the urgency of what we're trying to get done. Obviously Brandon's doing a great job putting us in the right play. Offensive linemen are playing hard. We've got receivers that play so unselfishly. I'm so proud of those kids for that. And they're just working to make a big play. They're feeding off of each other, and that's the way you want it to be. We talked about in the offensive meeting yesterday about encouragement, how important encouragement was. And hopefully they encouraged each other yesterday.
You think about where this team was at the start of the season and where it is now. How far has Carson-Newman come?
It's sort of like the Star Wars thing, baby, light years. It's gone miles before. They're playing with much more confidence right now, and it's not the phony kind of confidence. They're playing with confidence because they worked hard, they prepared hard, and that's the real confidence. Okay, and they're doing that well.
How much does the life outside of football play into what happens with that confidence?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with how kids enjoy being around kids. I think it's very critical. People don't understand. They talk about chemistry and they throw that word out, and most of the time that's one of those good cliches, but it's important how your kids rub on each other. You know how important it is they blend together and enjoy being around each other. It makes them a whole lot easier to coach them too.
You think about what you did offensively against the Lions. You only put up 503 yards, 488 on the ground. The Lions had not given up that many yards on the ground since the game against Western Carolina for them to start the season. And still you bested what the Catamounts did by 140 yards. Against the league's #1 total defense, why was your offense successful in that regard?
I think it goes back to, they're believing in what they're doing right now. They've got a great look in their eyes. They've got a great determination. I think playing the tempo we're playing right now helps us a lot. It's been very successful for us, and we've even got to get better at that. We're a long, long way from doing what we want to get done with it, but they're getting after it pretty good right now, and they're playing hard. That's the key thing, is just playing hard.
What kind of a push is your line getting week in and week out? Because it seems like you're blowing people off the ball.
Well, there's some tough kids. Those kids are tough kids, and gosh, they work hard, and they get chewed out, and they work hard, and but they're kids they play unselfish, and they play for the whole team right there. So they're getting it done pretty good right now. But wow, we still haven't graded out as a group. So we still got something to go get.
Kevin Day brought that up to me after the Catawba game, and I thought, oh, this was a dominant win. Surely that you finally graded out. When was the last time Carson-Newman graded out as a whole in a football game?
I don't know. It may have been before I coached. No, that we graded out before. We graded out as a whole before, but that's a great part about the option offense. We can show them something on film. We missed 4 blocks and still gain 30 yards. It's amazing. And I always tell them, I go, hey, if we just get 5 guys blocking at one time, we might go 70 yards or something. So that's that. But that keeps them. You don't make it ridiculous, but they understand that you're talking about techniques and you're talking about fundamentals. And the guy say to me, well, I got him blocked, but 9 out of 10 that won't get him blocked.
Brandon Baker becomes the 21st Carson-Newman running back to cross the 1,000-yard threshold. He's now over 1,100 for the season. He's been dinged up quite a bit this year. Same for Andy Hibbett and Tyron Douglas. How gritty have your running backs been?
Well, I think that's been an inspiration to offensive linemen. You see running backs back there that that are banged up and dinged up, but they're still going to hit that crease. And part of this offense is about a step of faith. It's not about I get the ball and there's the hole and you run through it. So you've got to rip it without having the ball in your hands. And those kids have played hard. They've played hurt and injured like the other kids on the team, but they've kept coming at it and keep coming at it. And you see running backs encouraging offensive linemen. It's a great thing.
Brandon Haywood picks up a 33-yard, essentially quarterback sneak for a touchdown, final score of the game. What enabled that play to be so successful?
Well, we give him a check each game that anytime he thinks he can go get 5 or 6 yards running a quarterback sneak, he can do that. He's on his own to make that call. The offensive linemen know that. And Mars Hill was bringing linebackers in the gaps, trying to attack the veer lane. And, you look at the video this morning, there's the outside of the guard and one inside of the guard. There's nobody left. So it's a great check. That's what it was made for.
And it broke Mars Hill's back, in essence, too.
Yes. I think when you go up 3 scores on anybody, I think that's sort of letting a little bit of the wind out of them.
Tyron, there's so many good things happened offensively. 3 touchdowns for Tyron coming back from injury seems a bit overshadowed when you've got Haywood and Baker both crossing 150 for the second straight game. What set up his 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half?
Well, it was just so great to see him come back. And those running backs get on each other a lot about who's got the fresh legs. It's if the pony hadn't been running the week before, the pony ought to be fresher. And he rips it like he always does. A great, tough kid out of Clover in South Carolina. And we just look forward to getting him back more healthy where he can really turn it loose and probably play a whole ball game with him.
Back in the playoffs for the first time since 2009. What does this mean for Carson-Newman?
Oh, I think it's a great from last season to where we were at 2-2, and for those kids to have put their nose to the grindstone and stayed true to what we talked about and stayed true to each other. It's a great reward. This is like 2012 part two. You know, it's the second part. So they get to start a new season and be fired up and get ready to go.
Mike, a blast as always. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
Carson-Newman offensive coordinator Mike Turner. We return with the Eagles Spotlight after this on the Ken Sparks Show. Well, Carson-Newman back in the playoffs for the first time since 2009. The Eagles get a bye, leapfrogging the previous number 2 seed, Miles. Carson-Newman's players found out playing host to a little party in the Ken Sparks Athletic Complex, watching the NCAA Division II selection show. We had our cameras there, and we take a look at how Carson-Newman's players reacted to finding out their seed.
I woke up with a sense of urgency, focus, determination, just because, you know, I felt like yesterday we kind of left everything we had on the field. We had a lot of mistakes, and we had heard, you know, if we won or if they won, that was probably going to be the number 2 seed. It wasn't a definite thing, but it's just things that were flying around the locker room and this complex. So coming in, I pulled up at 4:50, and my heart was beating the whole time we was watching this show. And when we got the number 2 seed, I felt like it dropped. I felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders, and that we really accomplished a huge task this season.
Because of the defeat to Mars Hill last week, I feel like we had a good opportunity to become the number 2 seed. We battled hard this year. We came from 2-2. We're on a 6-game winning streak, and it's just been hard work and it paying off right now. We just got to keep on going.
It feels good to be back back in the playoffs where it matters the most. It feels especially good to get the bye week because just like every other team in the world, we are busted up. We're tired, we're sore. So an extra week to kind of sit back and get a little rested up is definitely going to go a long way to help us.
It was just anything you could think about, I thought about. Now my main thought was the first round bye, but I was preparing for anything. Gosh, it was very, very nice. I think of Monty Python's The Holy Grail, when they got that. There's a scene where they're saying, "Bring out your dead," and they come throw people up on the cart, and they're not. And one person's like, "Oh, I'm not dead," so they knock him out. And I just feel like that because I feel like we're so beat up. You know, I just keep thinking of that scene because they've got so many people piled up, and that bye week would help so much just to, you know, to lower the amount of dead quote we have.
So that wraps things up for us here on the Ken Sparks Show this week. Carson-Newman with the victory over Mars Hill 35-17, and the Eagles clinch the 2nd seed in the Division II playoffs. They face the winner of the Lenore-Rhine Fort Valley State Contest at Berktar Stadium on November 24th. Check cneagles.com for more details on when that game will be played and who exactly the opponent is. I'm Adam Cavalier. This has been the Ken Sparks Show. Thanks for watching.